Today's guest is Jason Khalipa. He's a committed husband, father, and author, and the 2008 CrossFit Games champion. Thus, he was known as the fittest man on earth. He is the founder of the NCFit gyms, with 6 locations around the world, with 5 locations in California and 1 in Mexico. And now he's the best-selling author of As Many Reps as Possible, succeeding in competition, business, and life by making the most out of every single moment. Throughout Jason's life, he's chosen to stay positive as he's fought through endless adversity, including the moment when his daughter Ava was diagnosed with leukemia. And he believes the only real life hack is to work really hard.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom.
Jason, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I'm a little bit overwhelmed and a lot honored to have you on today's show because your career is sort of legendary and iconic at this point. I have to ask you this. When you finished first in the 2008 CrossFit Games, did you blow your own mind?
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't really know what it turned into. And so, I mean, yeah, I did blow my own mind, actually. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yes, I did.
So I'd love for you to break down. I mean, you wrote this book called As Many Reps as Possible, which is kind of a look into your mind, a look into your mindset, a look into your values. And I want to really focus in on this book. And in chapter 1 of your book, you write, a set of tools to set you free. What is the first chapter of this book all about?
Well, I mean, the first chapter, so there's a kind of chapter before the first chapter, which would have typically been a preface.
Yeah.
But in our case, we labeled it as, how it all began. And what that was just a story of when my daughter diagnosed with leukemia, how this tool set that I incorporated in my life for so long allowed us to overcome that challenge. And then the first chapter is a tool set that allows you to kind of reach your full potential, which is the AMRAP mentality, which is about identifying your why, knowing what you want to focus on, focusing on what's in your control, working really hard at that particular focus, switch gears throughout your day, and then reevaluate when life kind of throws you a curveball is the tool set that we use.
Now, was it an actual system that you'd written down and broken down on paper, the AMRAP philosophy and principle, or is that something that you worked on over time? I want to kind of know, because my son was born blind in 2007, which is why I relate, I believe, so much to your story. And nothing's worse than having your child going through something and feeling helpless as a parent. Did you already have your philosophy distilled at that point, or how did you come about this philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know, with your son being blind, I'm sure that came with a ton of, in the beginning, I'm sure it really shook you, and it was, you had to learn how to adapt and overcome. And now I'm sure there's been a lot of potential positives that have occurred through this adversity and having to overcome it. And the same thing kind of happened with us, where at first it was a huge shock, but now as we've kind of transitioned through, we've realized a lot of good has came out of it with relationships, with different types of things. But, at first when we were developing this mindset, it was more like, how am I going to compete at the CrossFit Games and win? How am I going to build a big business? And then how am I going to be a good husband and father? And so when I was debating that in my head, that's when I started creating this tool set, because I never was more productive in my workouts than when I was AMRAPing them. Once I started introducing a clock to my workouts, my results exponentially increased. That same thing I wanted to impact the rest of my life.
And again, AMRAP, for anybody out there taking notes, stands for As Many Reps as Possible. Am I getting that correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's an acronym for, as many reps as possible. So the way to think about it is, you have 10 minutes if I just said, hey, do me a favor and just do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats, casually, you might be able to get an okay workout. But if I said, hey, do 10 push-ups, 10 squats, etc., and I want you to do as many reps as possible in 10 minutes, go. You'd get you'd get a much better stimulus from that.
I want to get into your head before winning the 2008 CrossFit Games. When did you decide to take this seriously and to say, you know what, I might have a shot at winning this, or this is something I want to do? Was that 2006, 2007? I mean, when did that light bulb?
I mean, I was in love with training and competing, and that was a good thing for me. But after that year winning was really when I started to focus on it. It actually, I was surprised I won, and the competition was a lot different in 2008 than it was, when I finished up in 2015. And, it wasn't something I set out to win. I set out to just kind of see where I stacked up against my competitors, and winning was just this huge kind of byproduct of that.
So when you're competing in the CrossFit Games, because you retired from the CrossFit Games or competing in 2015, am I correct on that?
Yeah, so I competed 7 times as an individual and then once as a team in 2015.
So when you were competing, and let's say, what's the most difficult contest, the most difficult exercise, the most difficult part of the CrossFit Games in your mind? Is there a particular aspect of it you say that part is the worst?
Well, it's anything you're not prepared for. Right? That's the worst. So, going into these CrossFit Games, you never know what you're going to get yourself into at all. And so the secret is, how prepared can you be? And if you go in there and you're not prepared for a long event or a swim event or whatever that may be, that's when they're the worst events, is when you're not going in there with the confidence from all your training to go out there and know that you're going to perform well.
Can you, let us kind of into your brain. Here we go. We're going into your brain. Let's picture 2008, maybe 2009, and you're going in and you're going, okay, this was, what was the event where you were competing and you thought, oh, wow, this is harder than I thought it would be?
Well, I mean, fast forward to like 2011,
yeah.
We had a Camp Pendleton military base. We had a triathlon, and that was much harder than I anticipated because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready for a long swim, bike, and run, and because of that, it was detrimental. I mean, it broke me, and after that year, I told myself I would never let that happen again.
What do you say to yourself when you're going through something mentally? What's the self-talk look like with this AMRAP philosophy in your mind when you're going through a grueling, maybe you're doing pull-ups or you're doing some activity and you're going, I just am out of gas. What do you say to yourself? How do you just let us into the self-talk? What are you saying to yourself?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to utilize positive self-talk. And so what I'm thinking about is if I have, an athlete at our gym and I'm coaching them, what kind of things am I going to tell them? Well, I'm surely not going to tell them that they can't breathe. I'm not going to tell them that your legs hurt. I'm going to tell them, hey, focus on your technique. Focus on driving your knees out, keeping your chest up. Focus on, identifying a nice breathing pattern. And so then I take that same mindset and I shift it into myself. So I'm utilizing positive self-talk, which exercise is a great way to develop this. So in the middle of competitions, I'm focusing on what I can control, which is my own performance. I'm positively reinforcing that throughout the workout. And then before I get into the event, I create a game plan, whatever that game plan is, and I work really hard to stick with that game plan and rely on my training. Because what happens is a lot of times you get in the middle of one of these events and your competitors might go off, and go out super fast, and you want to kind of keep up with them. But you need to remind yourself that you created a game plan for a specific reason when your heart rate was, whatever. And the goal is to now, stick with the game plan, and with a few minutes left in the event, boom, game plan goes out the window and just go out there and crush it.
Can you let us, maybe this is a weird request, but could you tell me, do you speak this audibly? Do you actually say the words audibly to yourself while you're going through these adversities?
I think in the garage you could kind of develop this skill. I think anybody who's looking to, support their performance outside the gym should use the gym as a great way of doing that. So now, if I'm in the middle of a workout and I'm challenging, internally I'm saying certain things to myself. And in the beginning, it's really tough. Imagine if you go out for a run, the first thing you're saying to yourself is, oh man, my feet hurt, my lungs hurt, my whatever hurt. But if you could transfer that negativity into a positive, that's a strong thing. Now the question becomes, how do you translate that in your daily life? when you're in a meeting and something doesn't go the right way, these are sets of skills that you could develop through exercise that transfer really well into real life. And normally, I'm not saying I'm outside, like I'm not saying them out loud. I'm saying them internally.
Okay, so you're saying them internally. Now, in your book, As Many Reps as Possible, in Chapter 2, you decided to thoughtfully title this chapter, Unlock Your Why and Build a Personal Powerhouse. I would love for you to break down what this means and why it's so important.
Well, I mean, I think anytime you're going up for a challenge, whatever that may be, you need to know why you're doing it and have a strong set of, values that support it. When you're trying to compete at the CrossFit Games, the amount of pain that your body goes through is extreme. And if you don't have a strong internal reason why you're doing it, you're never going to be successful. And that same thing applies to anything else you're doing. Why are you going to school? Why are you working? What's the bigger reason? Because when adversity strikes and when challenges occur, you need to have a strong why for everything you're doing. And if you can relate to that, if you can fall back on that, you'll always be successful.
You, again, from what I can just read online and what I've heard about you, is that you are very passionate about your wife, Ashley, I believe her name is, Ashley, and your two kids. And a lot of people, unfortunately, in America today, maybe struggle with keeping the marriage together. I've been married 18 years. How long have you been married?
We've been married coming up on 10 years, but we've been dating for we started dating when we were 15, so I'm 33 now, so whatever that is, 18 years.
Okay, I got 5 years of age on you there, so I'm 38 here, so a little bit older than you, but you've been married 10 years, been dating your high school sweetheart. What you're doing as far as your love for your wife, you always speak very favorably about her on every interview you've ever done. Whenever you're talking about your wife, it's not a negative, passive aggressive. It's a very powerfully, purposeful, powerful, passionate, you love her, and it's very evident in what you say about her. What is the why that makes your marriage so successful when so many other people, seem to struggle with making their marriage work?
Well, I think you have to find the right person that's going to kind of, create something inside you that you want to be the best version of yourself for them, right? And so for us, I feel like I got really lucky at a young age finding somebody that, made me be about something, made me kind of be a man about it. And, has been there supporting me, and I've been supporting her, and we've been trying to lift each other up since we were 15. So I think my why was that I found someone excellent who made me better, and I want to keep her.
There we go. This is somebody who makes you want to be excellent, and you want to keep her. This is maybe something you and I share here. My wife is, people always say, your wife looks just like Joanna Gaines, and I go, thank you. They go, you look just like Jabba the Hutt, or you know what I mean? You look just like Yoda. It seems like we married up, and your wife is a big encourager there. Can you talk to me about the role that she plays or has played in encouraging you throughout your entrepreneurial career?
I think she her dad's an entrepreneur, and so I think she knows what she's getting herself into. And at a young age, I didn't really have the same entrepreneurial spirit or hard work ethic that I have today. And I think over the years, we've had certain life goals that we both wanted for our family, and she recognizes that we have to have some sacrifices in certain areas to get other things. And so, we check in on a regular basis. We have regular date nights, which were really important for us, especially all the time we've spent in the hospital. And, we have regular check-ins about, hey, what are we trying to accomplish here? And one of the big things that we talked about recently was reaching our full potential. And so she's there to kind of help guide me and help me and her, both of us, reach our full potential as a couple and then also individually, which I think is really cool.
I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of the personal details of your date night, but a lot of entrepreneurs, we have, about 500,000 folks that will download this podcast, every month. And a lot of them are going, okay, date night, what kind of stuff do you guys do? You know what I mean? So what do you do? Do you guys go out for Italian food? Do you go work out? Do you do pump it up? What do you guys do during your date night?
Oh, we're going out to a restaurant. We're having drinks. That's for sure. So,
okay.
Whether we were at the hospital, our family was very supportive and gave us date nights there. Or when we're at home, we have family that can help support with the kids, which is excellent. At least every weekend, we go on a date, and that could be as simple as going to a wine bar, having a couple glasses of wine. It could be, she's a big fan of margaritas, and I like a little mezcal. And it's just, finding that balance in our relationship where we go out and we when we first had kids, one of the things we told each other is that we wanted to have our relationship number one, and our children are our top priority. But if our relationship wasn't strong and if we didn't do the best we could to make sure that we are communicating well, then we wouldn't have a good relationship for our children. And so we make sure that, we're regularly communicating on an adult level every single weekend like that. That's critical for us over a couple of cocktails.
Now you, it's interesting. We talk about it on the show all the time. You want to have a great family, great faith relationship, great fitness relationship. It's the F6 life: faith, family, fitness, finances, friendship, fun. You seem like you guys, nobody's balanced, but I mean, you guys seem like you're really intentional about becoming as balanced as you could possibly be. Do you have certain books that have inspired your philosophy or mindset throughout the years?
I've just had a lot of mentors. I've met with a lot of people, and I've learned a lot from them. People who are, 10, 15 years older than me, and you start learning from some of their mistakes and some of their pitfalls. And I think regular daily check-ins on how you're doing on a micro level is a great place to start. This way you don't have these major, kind of epiphanies 10 years later that you never had a good relationship with your kids or your wife. And I think that's just a daily check-in you could do. And then every now and then have these big check-ins where you kind of create goals together as a family.
So previous to winning the CrossFit Games, what was your occupation? What were you doing to support the family before becoming the CrossFit superstar that you are now today?
Well, back in 2008, I graduated college in 2008. So I graduated college, proposed to my wife, and won the CrossFit Games all that same year. Before that, I was working a sales job at the gym while going through college. And so, my big why was to be able to take Ashley out to, dinners and stuff. But then once I won the CrossFit Games, I then opened up the business that same year. And ever since, we've been kind of doing our thing.
Tell the listeners out there who aren't as familiar with your story, tell them about the college you went to and then the business that you now have started.
So I went to a junior college for 2 years because I screwed up in high school and I was just not taking it seriously. And then I went to a 4-year university called Santa Clara University. That was excellent, where I graduated in 2008 with my wife and a few of our friends. And then that same year, I won the CrossFit Games, but at the time there wasn't much money in it like there is today. And so I started up a business in a small warehouse, and then we had one location, then we expanded. Now we have, 22 locations or so globally, and it's been a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Well, I know
a fun journey.
I know a lot of our listeners love to Google and kind of check in on our guests and pursue. What's the website where they can learn more about your 22 locations that you have today?
JasonKhalipa.com is a great location just to check out more about me and what we have going on.
Okay, now for people out there that are going, okay, I'm probably going to pick up this guy's book. This guy, I want to buy his books as a book as many reps as possible. We're going on to chapter 3 here, and I want to kind of get into chapter 3 of the book. Your book is filled with so many knowledge bombs. As you began to put this book together, did you have a mentor helping you or an agent that helped you? Because a lot of people are just overwhelmed by the idea of writing a book.
When I first sat down to write an idea for a book, what I told myself is I wanted to put out a book that was kind of what I saw in the marketplace. So what happened is that I'd be traveling, a lot. This year so far, I've traveled 100 days this year.
Whoa.
100 days plus. And before I wrote this book in 2015, I was traveling more than that. And I was opening locations throughout Asia and all over the place. And I'd be at the airports. I'd look for, motivation. I'd look for inspiration. And I'd pick up these books. And the books just didn't align with what I thought. Most of the time they were talking about hacks and, work less, get paid more. And I started saying to myself, whatever happens, roll up your sleeves and get to work. And so I set out to write a book. At that time, I had a ghostwriter. And then my daughter got sick like a month later. And it just totally transformed my reason for writing the book. That it went away from, hey, let's write a hard work book, into, hey, let's talk about this mindset of AMRAP mentality and how, because I embraced it for so many years in my life, it allowed me to, the night she got diagnosed, to write an email and just say, hey guys, right now I have one focus and one focus only. And, I had other competent people to take care of the business. We had built up a financial hedge. My fitness was on point. My relationships were on point because we had developed as many reps as possible mindset. And so that's what I wanted to write. And so I basically scratched the ghostwriter rewrote the whole thing myself, and then had some help with editing.
And how did you go about? We have a lot of our listeners that are best-selling authors, and we've had Seth Godin on the show and John Maxwell and a lot of big names. And what was your process for finding an agent that understood you and what you were trying to do?
Well, so I didn't really go through an agency, so I decided to self-publish, and I kind of had a hybrid where this group they print the book for me and they kind of store it, and then but I self-published it, and I found a ghostwriter just through mutual friends. But again, this book was written by me through all my travels to Asia. I would just sit down for like 12, 15-hour flights and just write it. And then I had one of the people on our team who's a former lawyer who could write really well help me edit it out. And so that was my way of doing it. And the reason why I wanted to self-publish is because I already have a little bit of a social reach. Yeah. And I wanted to donate, we're donating all the proceeds from pre-sales, which are through January 8th. And then after that, we're donating a portion. So basically, I wanted to try and get as much money as possible for the kids to support pediatric cancer. And I didn't want to go through traditional publishing and give them a percentage.
Where does where do you donate to? Like if someone buys your book right now, because there's a lot of people are going to go right now and right now just go up there. They're going to go on Amazon and they're going to buy as many reps as possible. Where does the money go to? The donations?
Yeah, I truly hope to do. I hope to get value out of it. It's a short read, 2 hours. It's designed to be impactful, and the money goes to an organization called NEGU, which is the Never Ever Give Up organization. So it's NEGU.org. And the story there is we've been donating there. My wife and I also host an event called Ava's Kitchen, and we donate all the proceeds to NEGU, where we manage a fund within their fund. So this way, there's a lot of checks and balances. We make sure every penny goes to kids fighting cancer.
That's great.
And to give families really cool events to help with financial needs. There's all kinds of stuff we do. But NEGU is a great organization, and we stand behind them.
Chapter 3 of your book, you talk about the next level focus. What does that mean?
So what that means is that, for a lot of years, I was focusing on things that were outside my control. And it caused me to not perform well because I'd be worrying about the events or my competitors. And so I used so much energy focusing on other things that I forgot about what was actually mattering, which was, hey, my warm-up, my execution, my training. And so next level focus is really about identifying what's in your control versus out of your control, making sure you focus on what's in your control. And a great way to do that is just to take 2 circles of anything that's upsetting you or frustrating or stressing you out, and just take all the things that are in your control, put them in the left circle, take all the things that are out of your control, put them in the right circle. And that's a great, great first step. And I think I did that with competing. And then I did that with my daughter getting leukemia. I did that in business. And, for example, I got word yesterday that another gym wants to open up literally next to one of our locations.
There we go.
And at first I was super frustrated, right? I called the future owner. I said, hey man, I think you're making a big mistake. Let me explain why. Right. And I explained why. But then after a while, I went to dinner with the kids and my wife, and I sat there. I was like, look, it's completely outside my control. I can't determine what this guy's going to do. I already called and said my piece. Now let me go ahead and just, spend time with the family. And that was it. I just turned it off that quickly. And that's an easy way to do it.
Thrive Nation, those of you who listen to this show regularly, my partner, Dr. Zellner, and I, we own 13 multi-million-dollar companies, just like you, multiple locations, Jason, a lot of different businesses, brick and mortar. And when you have somebody that leases space, a landlord or a property owner that leases to your direct competition, very closely to you, or that can be frustrating. The fact that you got over that so quick, that's a powerful moment. I mean, you're able to put that into a different part of your brain, compartmentalize it, and move on. That right there, we should probably put that on repeat, Andrew, until our brains explode.
Yeah.
Now, chapter 4. Go for it. Sorry.
Well, and a great way to develop that, just to be clear, I mean, obviously I'm a huge fitness advocate, but I think that it's a great tool set to develop in your garage where you're going through a workout. You have to overcome adversity to identify what's in your control, what's out of your control for that event. And just, you can learn it through working out so easily, and it translates so well. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's it's all about consistency there. Is understanding when something's really frustrating you. What can you do about it? If nothing, then move on. That's it. Nothing else to say.
Now, I know you have a hot date night planned tonight here, so I have 3 final questions for you. 3 final questions
Yeah,
in,
no
our, in, our,
problem.
in our speed round here. Chapter 4, you give all the listeners out there a very powerful, Andrew, this is almost like a get rich not quick. This is like a get rich slow tip. And Andrew, you hear all the guests we have. David Robinson, NBA Hall of Famer. Lee Cockrell managed Disney World. John Maxwell, Seth Godin, all these people, they all basically give the same get rich slow. But I think this guy, Jason really nails it here. Chapter 4, you titled it, The Only Real Life Hack, Work Really Hard.
Yeah. Well, it's the truth. I think everybody's especially with social media these days, they go on there and they want instant gratification, right? They want to show up in the Bahamas, with driving, being in a yacht overnight. And it just doesn't happen that way. People don't put up their struggles. People don't put up all the adversity that overcome, and people don't put up the decades of hard work. And I think what's really important for people to remember is that I started in the fitness industry at the age of 15, working the front desk, and then I got into sales. And now at 33, I have all these years under my belt where I've been learning from mentors. I've been focused on one thing, which is the fitness space. And I haven't been going from one area to the next. I've been really diligent on this particular, I know a lot about fitness. I don't know much about, the restaurant business, for example.
Right.
And so I think it's really important that people, before they get into a business, they just remind themselves like, hey, have I earned the confidence? Have I earned the right to open this? What is my competitive advantage? Have I put in the work? And if they have, well, then I could think they're going to be a lot more successful. But if you just want to tell yourself you want to open it, but you can't really back it up with years of dedication and hard work, I think you're setting yourself up for a more challenging situation. And so to summarize, whether you want to win a professional sport or you want to win a business, I think that it takes years and years and years of this slow, consistent effort.
True.
I think it's critical.
All right, 2 final questions for you here. One, Andrew, I did some Googling. We did some Googling.
Yeah, we did.
The team, just so you know, Jason, we've got about 50 people that work at the Thrivetime show. And then in all the companies, there's hundreds of people. I think the Christmas party, there's probably 400 people at the party.
Yeah.
A lot of people there. And we did some Googling, and we're going, wow, this guy seems to be in shape. So I want to ask you, on a daily basis, what does your diet look like today?
Yeah, so I try and eat real food, right? I think that's the first key, is that take out, soda. I think that's a very easy thing to do. Avoid these excessive amounts of sugar. Try and just eat real food throughout each of your meals.
Yep. And
start there. But I think the key is consistency. And so it means eating real food, and look, if you show up at a party and someone wants to eat a piece of cake and it's your kid's birthday, go ahead and eat some cake. Don't be so crazy about it. But it's that consistency piece of eating well and exercising hard for at least, these 30 minutes to an hour a day, getting into the gym, surrounding yourself with like-minded people who want to push themselves, and let's get after it. And I think that mindset of just every day, eat real food, work out hard at least once a day, make sure you're moving and hydrating. And I think you're setting yourself up for success because, look, I don't want to be fit for the next month. I want to be fit for the rest of my life. And so for me, it's this distant horizon. Just like, creating a really big business takes time, fitness takes a while. But then once you get there, it's just this constant goal to maintain and continue to develop. And so for me, it combines 2 things. Consistent workouts every day where I push myself mentally and physically, and then eating real food.
And I want to make sure that I tried to watch as many videos as I could that you've talked to, done interviews. You've done countless interviews. If the listeners out there will avoid sweets, right? Just avoid eating, sugary beverages. Don't drink your calories, right? Just don't drink sugar. Don't eat sugar. Just don't, right? Sugar, sort of avoid that.
Yeah. 100%. I think, not only is it going to, absorb in your bloodstream really, really quick and, spike your blood sugar levels, but I just think it's just a waste, spend it on something else. Avoid soda is just a really easy thing to do.
Got it.
Switch over to sparkling water. It's a great next step, right? It gets you the carbonation and it removes a lot of the sugar.
Final question for you. Final 90 seconds. I know you got to go on that hot date, so here we go. How do you spend the first 4 hours of your typical day?
That's a great question. So I get asked a lot about my evening routine and my morning routine. My evening routine, I don't really have one because I fall asleep so quickly. It takes me less than 2 minutes to fall asleep, so I don't really need to worry about that. I know some people need to wind down. For me, it doesn't happen that way. But my morning routine, something I've been playing with, is every morning I work out. So I go in my garage, I get on my I do some form of cardio.
What time?
20, 30 minutes, just kind of. This is around 6. So I go to bed every night between 10 and 11 at the latest. And I wake up every day around anywhere between 5:30 and 6:30 is traditionally where I'm at. And I'll go in the garage, I'll hit some cardio, and I've been playing around with cold plunging, and I'm going to play around with the sauna. So right now what I'm doing is I go in the garage, I just turn on the clock, I don't think, I just start moving. And in the beginning I feel like, not good. But then after a few minutes I start moving a little bit. And I think for any CEO, any entrepreneur out there, just get a spin bike, throw it in your living room. Don't check your phone. Just get on it, start moving, get in 15, 20, 30 minutes of hard effort, and then go on and go do the rest of your gig. And if you want to start doing cold plunge, right now I'm in California, so it's not too cold, but it's still cold, and we don't heat our pool. So something I've been working on is getting in there for 20 to 30 deep breaths until I can control my heart rate again and my breathing. And it just kind of shocks my system, gets me going for the rest of the day. That's what I've been playing with right now.
Where in California do you live? Southern California or?
Northern California, like the San Jose Bay Area.
Oh boy, you do have a cold pool.
Yes, I mean it's kind of cold. I mean, right now I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. Actually, I road trip down here with my son. He's 4.5, and that was kind of cool. And now we met my wife and daughter, and now we're road tripping back up. It's gonna be fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you and your wife and your son get back to that great family event. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your insights and your words of wisdom with the Thrive Nation. And Thrive Nation, I'm not going to go out there and, say you are a horrible person if you don't buy Jason's new book. I wouldn't say if you don't buy as many reps as possible, Andrew, you're a bad person.
No.
Some would suggest I should say that, but I would not allow that. I would just say, why don't you buy the book? Come on. Just don't go to Starbucks twice. Buy the book. He's donating a lot of the proceeds to a great cause. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate you having me on. If anybody wants to stay up to date on what I have going on, JasonKhalipa.com and Jason Khalipa on Instagram is probably going to be the best spot. And, feel free to DM me if you have any questions. I would really, really, really appreciate your support on the book, and I hope you can get, an impact from it.
Have a blessed night, my friend. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care. Andrew, have you ever competed in CrossFit?
Have not actually competed.
You ever thought of competing in CrossFit?
No.
In CrossFit?
Never have I ever.
I'm afraid of the word CrossFit.
Yeah.
That guy's a scary dude. Check him out online. His name is Jason Khalipa. We'll put a link to all of his information on today's show notes. And I want to encourage everybody because at the time of this recording, we're in the new year now. We're in the new year. And so many people think it's not possible to achieve success. They say, I want to achieve success, but it's not possible for me because whatever.
Yep.
A lot of people have told me recently, I can't achieve success because I'm overeducated.
There you go.
I have an MBA.
That's a good excuse.
She has an MBA. We all have MBAs. They're passing out MBAs. We have too much education, too much debt. Well, we have a listener out there by the name of Rachel, and her husband's, his name is Tyler. So it's Rachel and Tyler, and they're based in New Orleans.
Yep.
And they reached out to us about 3 years ago, and they had a company called Delricht Clinical Research.
Great company.
Now, some people might say you have to have revenue to have a company, but no, they had a pre-revenue company, we'll call it. It's a pre-revenue company. A lot of expenses on the spreadsheet, a lot of on the balance sheet, a lot of expenses, not a lot of income. And they reached out to us, and that was about almost 2.5, 3 years ago.
Right.
And now we are proud to say that Delricht Research, and we'll put a link to it on the show notes, Delricht Research is now producing a profit per month, Andrew, of over $100,000.
Whoa.
That's per month. Now, Andrew.
That's crazy.
Now, it's a husband-wife team, so they split it in half. They each will have only $50,000 a month of disposable income now. Only. So they're going through a tough time.
Tough time.
They only have $100,000 a month to spend on themselves. So we're going to start kind of a GoFundMe, I think. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're saying, look, how are people supposed to get by on $100,000 a month?
I couldn't do it.
Maybe we could get the GoFundMe account going. It could go viral. Maybe they could then have $200,000 a month.
No,
but in all sincerity, they're doing very well. Their company's called Delricht Research. It's DELRICHT. They're a clinical research company. Essentially, if a pharmaceutical company wants to put a new drug onto the marketplace, Andrew, are you aware they have to actually test it on humans first?
Yes, I am. They do.
And so you have to test it on thousands of people who are willing to try these clinical trials.
Yep.
And then they do all the research, and if it passes all the tests and checks all the boxes, then they get to sell it on the market in the marketplace as a approved drug.
There you go.
And they help get drugs approved. It's called Delrict Clinical Research. And so they're making over $100,000 a month. And so I reached out to them and I said, Rachel and Tyler, would you be willing to hop on the video camera or on a mic and share your story? And that way you could encourage other thrivers that they too have the capacity and the tenacity to make it. And do you know the biggest thing they struggled with before hiring us?
What's that? I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Andrew, you're
Haven't
supposed to
heard.
know everything.
Oh.
Okay, so this is what they said. They didn't know how to do the Dream 100. Furthermore, they didn't know what the Dream 100 was.
Wow.
Because they have to cold call doctors over and over and over and over and over to get them to agree to administer the trials.
Yep.
Then they have to cold call patients over and over and over again to get them to agree.
Right.
Then they have to call pharmaceutical companies that want the trials. A lot of calling.
It's a lot of layers.
Then we had to help them with processes, systems, checklists, website optimization, workflows, sales processes, pre-written emails. There's so many aspects of their company we helped them with.
Yep.
But, we couldn't help them if they weren't willing to put in the work. And so we celebrate Rachel and Tyler with Delrict Research today.
yeah.
And now I'm going to cue up an audio testimonial that they sent over to us via the interwebs to encourage the members of the Thrive Nation.
My name is Tyler Hastings, and this is my wife, Rachel, and our company is Delrict Research out of New Orleans. During our time working with Thrive, we've had numerous successes. When we first started, we were working with one physician. We had one research site, and we were seeing on average, between 10 and 15 patients a week. Since working with Thrive in the last 18 months, we now have 4 research sites. We work with over 5 physicians, and on average, we're now seeing over 60 patients per week. Recently, we've been the top enroller worldwide in 7 studies, which is just incredible considering where we were, 2 years ago, 18 months ago.
Thrive really differs from the other conferences that we've been to and the other kind of programs that we've been through because they actually really practice what they preach and they implement the same systems and the processes that they teach you about, and they give you real life examples that have really worked for them and show you with the training how to implement that yourself. For example, Tyler and I actually got the opportunity to come out to Tulsa, and we're fortunate enough that the Thrive team took us out to some of the businesses that they own, and we really got to see in real life, real time, some of the systems and processes, and it was just incredible. A real life example of some of the businesses and the things that they're implementing.
Having a coach is important to us. They act as not only an accountability factor, but they're someone we can talk to on a daily basis as we go through the problems of running a business that inevitably come up. They always understand what we're going through, and they're always there to help us or guide us through the problems that we experience. The best part of our experience working with Thrive has just been seeing our relationship grow. So at each step as our business grows, they have something else to provide us with. They've got the resources, whether it be marketing, graphic design, website development, or even into accounting practices. Maybe we need a new insurance policy. They have someone they can connect us with, or they have the direct resource we need to speak with for any of the problems we face. If someone's thinking about signing up for the coaching program, I would highly recommend that they call in for a free 30-minute coaching session and see exactly what the team can do for you. Just speak with someone, let them know what you're going through, and I think you'll find that, regardless of what you need, there's someone there that can help you.
Andrew, can I hate to speak disparagingly of a current client, but you know why I don't like Tyler and Rachel at all?
Why is that?
They don't ever compliment me about my looks. Because we know that is why they decided to enter into our coaching program.
That is why.
And that's why they're
clients
having
do.
success.
That's true.
Sex sells, and therefore they're selling a lot because of my body. So I just want to say, Rachel and Tyler, I appreciate you guys for complimenting the program, but at least put credit where credit's due.
The least they could
and
have
say
done.
what we're doing is we're freeloaders riding the beauty of Clay Clark to success.
That's true.
That's the rest of the story. And they never talk about my humbleness either.
Nope, your humbleness or your body.
These are the two things they don't talk about. But Thrive Nation, if you're out there and you're saying, I'm frustrated, I don't know how to grow my business, we want to get to know you and we want to help you. So buy your tickets to the next in-person Thrivetime Show workshop today by going to thrivetimeshow.com. That's thrivetimeshow.com. But what if I have carpal tunnel? Still go to thrivetimeshow.com. And Andrew, as always, we like to end each and every show with a boom. Are you psychologically ready?
I am very ready.
Are you physically ready?
I am physically
Are
ready.
you spiritually ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.